Evening, everybody. We have a steady flow of folks coming in, so I'm going to give us maybe 2 more minutes and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, everyone. I want to be respectful of everybody's time, so we will go ahead and get started. I would like to call our very first meeting of the year to order. It is now 6:34. Thank you so much to all of you for being early, on time, being prompt, right? Because when we know when you're early, you're on time, and when you're on time, you're late. So thank you so much for being here. For those of you that are new to our state all calls, my name is Sarah Tyree. I am your Arizona State Conference president. We will be going through introductions for our new EC members shortly. Folks are still rolling in. But I would like to toss it over real quick to my vice president for him to introduce himself and any words for the new year.
Good evening, everybody. Again, I am the Vice President. I am Reverend Andre Miller. I've been a part of NAACP for a very, very long time, and I'm just excited to do this work with all of you all. We have a lot to do. There will be a lot going on the next few years, so I'm just excited to be in this fight with you all, and your commitment to social justice and equity is inspiring to me as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. And I think I made you a co-host, so can you help me let folks in when they pop in there? Thank you. So a quick run of the agenda while folks are still rolling in. We'll do introductions of our new chairs and our new or re-elected presidents for the branches across the state, and probably some of our youth advisors, because I see that we have some of our colleges on here today as well. We'll roll through that pretty quickly. We'll go over the structure of the NAACP from national on down to our branches. the state youth advisor will give an update to all of you for the 2025 plans and what that looks like for youth in college. We'll talk about the adult branches goals for 2025. And then we have an amazing guest speaker, Khalil Rushton, who will be going over justice reform for us. So let's see. Um, Miss Shannon, um, are you on yet? I think
Yes,
I saw.
ma'am.
Would you like to give your introduction, please?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Shannon Hayes. I am the former Civic Engagement Director for the state and the current housing chair for the state conference.
Will you, Ms. Shannon, will you share with some of the things that you do outside of the NAACP?
Yes, I'm a housing stability legal advocate within the courts, the justice courts, working on eviction diversion for our communities, as well as an education equity advocate in our public school system.
Thank you. All the hats. So, folks, when you have housing issues, please reach out to the state so that we can make sure that folks are getting the care that they need and they're not falling through the cracks. Thank you, Ms. Shannon.
Yeah.
Um, I did see Miss Gwen on here. Miss Gwen, would you like to go next?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. My name is Gwendolyn Bailey. Please call me Gwen. I'm the former Health and Wellness Chair for West Valley and Maricopa. I now sit in the state seat for Health and Wellness. I'm looking forward to working with everybody on all of our health and wellness initiatives. I currently sit on the Arizona Behavioral Health Planning Council outside of the NAACP, and I'm looking forward to meeting the needs and going out in the community and understanding what those health and wellness needs are so we can advocate for you from an education, fitness, nutrition, mental health, especially standpoint, and make sure everyone has the resources that they need. So thank you.
Thank you, Miss Gwen. Um, Leading the way already. There are so many health events that you already have in the works, and so we're so excited to have you on the team. Next is Miss Daisha. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Can everyone hear me? How's everyone doing? Hi. So I guess I am the new veteran chair. I was recently elected, and I'm just so excited to be here. To give you a little bit of background on myself, I am an Air Force veteran, security forces. I did 5 years, four, and then I was stop loss due to 9/11. So I had to do that one extra. They wouldn't let me out. So after I got out, I joined I'm a civil servant. I have been a civil servant with the federal government for over 26 years. I recently I'm from Chicago, but I recently transported into Arizona from Maryland. I lived in Maryland for over 17 years and worked for the government there. So, and now currently, I am an inspector general for the U.S. Department of the Army out of Fort Huachuca, Arizona, and really just excited to be here and to continue my work with the military and the veterans and to help as needed as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Stacia. We're so excited. I know that so many of us and our members are veterans or family members of veterans, so we appreciate you and the work that you plan to do in Arizona in 2025 and beyond. And also Sierra Vista in the house. We'll make sure that we get you connected to the Greater Huachuca branch as well. Let's see. I don't see our education chair, Robert Barlow. Many of you are already familiar with him. He's coming from to us from the East Valley. Robert is head of
Hey,
our
Sarah,
education.
Sarah,
Oh,
I'm
you
right
are
here.
here? Okay,
Yeah,
yay.
my bad. It doesn't have my name. Well, good evening. My name is Robert Barlow. I am the state conference education chair and also the co-chair for EXO. Professionally, I work in HR. nonprofit. I have run a nonprofit based in Arizona, and you're working in HR, education in the education space. Yeah, and that's it.
Thank you, Brother Barlow. And then I know that Bishop Holt is attending an event with some of our labor union siblings. So Bishop Holt has come to the state conference as the religious chair after his sabbatical and taking care of his health. So we're so glad that he's doing better and he's still ready to rock and roll. And I think that is it. Mr. Vice President, am I missing anybody? Fallon.
Fallon, yep.
Mm-hmm. Miss Fallon, would you like to introduce yourself, and then Miss Deja, I see you.
Yes, are you guys able to hear me well? Okay, there we go. Hi, I'm Fallon Jones. I'm the state youth advisor. I like to say I'm their secretary, their everything, whatever they need in the moment. Sometimes a mom, sometimes a Uber driver. I that's what I do for the NAACP, but my 9 to 5 job, I just switched from the director of operations for an insurance company that we acquired to now I'm working as the director of the Sustainable Communities Network. And we are utilizing energy efficiency tax credits to provide energy efficiency and sustainable infrastructure to low income families all around the United States. So I just started that at the beginning of the year, and I'm excited for my nonprofit life to start partnering with my for-profit life and how that's going to help this organization and my people.
Thank you, Ms. Fallon. And I know that we'll probably hear a little bit more about that later in your portion of our agenda tonight, Mr. Vice President.
Nadia, community coordination.
Yes, thank you. Is Ms. Nadia on?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yay.
Hello, everyone. I feel very privileged and excited to be here. I'm ready to serve along with you. I am, my last name is pronounced Kaligi, so when you see all those H's, don't get intimidated. And I serve as a state conference community coordination chair, and looking forward to coordinating and getting whatever we need to do to get done, to get equity and justice happening. We need to get out there more than ever, clearly, with the state of the current week. Just 1 week in. So that's it. That's all I got. Nadia would like to, oh yes, I just got that. Thank you, Miss Gwen. And a little bit, I guess, I've been serving on the NAACP for 5 years. I have my own nonprofit as well. And with our nonprofit organization, we have constantly just any event that we have done has always been geared on equity and social justice and inclusivity, and doing everything we can to elevate marginalized voices. So anything else?
Thank you, Ms. Nadia.
Thank you.
Ms. Stacia, you wanted to hop back in before we do our branch presidents?
Oh, I had just chatted it. I was just saying that
Okay.
even though I work out of Fort Huachuca, I do live in the Phoenix area.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move over to our branch presidents. I know we have some newly elected folks and some re-elected folks. Let's start with Ms. Beverly. I know she's in here. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Dr. Meeks, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everyone. My name is Cherie Meeks, and I am the president of the Tucson branch. Very excited to be here and to get to see so many folks from across the state. And shout out to all the Tucson folks on the call tonight.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Is Dr. Harden here tonight? So no, Dr. Harden, but I did see Dr. Westenberg. Dr. Westenberg, would you like to introduce yourself for Maricopa?
Greetings, everyone. I am Camilla Westenberg, and I don't know why you aren't seeing me, but at any rate, I am the third vice president for political action. I am a life member of the NAACP and have been involved with it for a number of years. I've also been advisor for the student NAACP BSU at Phoenix College, and I'm very, very invigorated about becoming engaged, as has already been stated, given the climate in which we find ourselves as a result of the various decisions and proclamations of decisions that have been made by our administration. And so we have work to do. I'm pleased to be here.
We do. Thank you, Dr. Westenberg. President Farmer, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Larnell Farmer, and I am the president of the West Valley NAACP. And it's just good to be here. And then one quick note, Bishop Carter will not be able to make it tonight. He has class on Thursdays, so he won't be here.
Understood. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Ms. Constance, would you like to introduce yourself?
I just want to say good evening, and it's nice. I know some of the people that are on here, and I've met you, Sarah, and I appreciate you. And we are almost at our quota of 50 again, so we're doing it. We'll be done by next week. And we got a lot of
Wonderful
work to do.
news. Yes, ma'am. Wonderful news. And when you're ready, Vice President Miller and I will come back down and help you with whatever you need.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Beverly, would you like to try again? Okay.
Okay, can you hear me, Madam President?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay, so I'm Beverly Cade, and I'm the newly elected president from the Yuma branch. And we just had a very successful Martin Luther King walk and a very successful program where we were all installed, the new officers, and well, I'm the only new officer, but and we had over 100 people, and that's great for Yuma. Yay!
Congratulations, what beautiful news. And we're so excited to work with you and your new team, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you.
The only other branch president that we're missing two actually. Let me say this before I check. The East Valley recently elected a new president, Jevin Hodge. I'm sure many of you are familiar with who he is. And then we also have the Flagstaff branch, and Semi Clayton was reelected. And we have two of our college advisors on. So Ms. Brianna, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Brianna Jordan, and I am the new club advisor for the NAACP BSU Club at Phoenix College. And we're actually hosting a MLK Youth Celebration this Saturday on campus from 9 to 5. So if anyone is able to stop by, that would be great. But I'm really looking forward to being able to connect with you all and being involved with the NAACP.
Thank you, Miss Brianna. And it's on my calendar, so I plan to stop by and support you guys however I can. And then Miss Rika. Miss Rika, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Can you hear me?
You're cutting out a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
We can hear you now.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Rika. I am an instructor at South Mountain Community College. We are working towards really getting our NAACP club up and running. So we're still in kind of that nebulous phase of trying to get all of our participants together, especially since we just started school this week. But we're excited, we're invigorated, happy to be here this evening, happy to learn more about the NAACP here in Arizona. I'm very new to South Mountain, so I'm learning the rigmarole when it comes to being a club advisor. So I'm always happy to take in as much information as possible, but I'm so grateful to be here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Rika. And you have a number of faculty and former faculty within the NAACP who can help guide you. Dr. Harden is one of those, as well as Dr. Westenberg. So if you ever need any resources or you need support, please reach out to them because they have all the wisdom to share and give to you.
I appreciate that. I will do that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, I saw that President Hodge will be on shortly, so we'll move along briefly. I do think that Estrella Mountain Community College is also in the process of getting their BSU NAACP up and running as well. So our youth and college numbers are growing rapidly, and we're so excited about that. I'd like for us to move into the structure of the NAACP because I know that we do have a lot of new members. And also just historically, the state conference has kind of taken a back role, a back seat, if you will, to supporting our branches. And this administration wants to do the best that it can in supporting all of you in whatever way that looks like for your branch specifically. Our long-term goal is that we are all united as one state conference rather than our branches continuing to work in silos. That's not to say that our branches don't have their own identity, they do. And also we want to make sure that we are one band, one voice. So when we are thinking about the structure of the NAACP, you have national. And national says, you know, we are focused on these specific items here. And I want to say specific, like there's only 5, but we know that that is not true. There are so many items that the NAACP as a whole is focused on. And from there, each state conference will pick a certain amount of items that they want to focus on that national has said these are important to us. So for currently, the Arizona State Conference is focused on mental health, on sustainable housing, education, and of course, always civic engagement. So what that really looks like for our local branches is they say, okay, the state conference is focused on mental health, on housing, on education, on civic engagement. We are also focused on cash bail. We are focused on police reform. We are focused on housing. How do we intersect the goals of our branch with the goals of the state conference, right? And sometimes that looks like educating your city council members on how their current policies for law enforcement are impacting folks when it comes to housing, how it's impacting folks with mental health. Are we talking about mental health and police officers? If it is housing, what does that look like for our young people who their parents can't afford, you know, the skyrocketing rent raises that we have? And so really just taking the time to educate the people who make the laws, who make the policies that impact our everyday lives so that they understand from the community perspective, particularly the Black community, on how the things that they're deciding on impact our lives. Because I think by and large, it is our community who often is not at the table. And so our voices aren't being heard the same way other communities are being heard. And so that is one of the things that we're looking to expand on. And I'll touch a little bit more on that in the next item. But does anybody have any questions on how the structure works for the NAACP? Okay, hearing none. So we talked about national, we talked about the state conference, we talked about adult branches, and then below that you have, or adjacent to that, you have your youth and college, and youth and college are governed independently from adult branches. So if you have a college branch in your area, your college branch has their own elected officials. They have their own president, their own secretary, their own treasurer, so on and so forth. They have their own committees. They can have their own bank accounts. They essentially are another entity, and again, are not governed by the adults. And the same goes for the youth, for the high school folks. They have their youth advisors, and they select their president and all of their elected officials. And we are working to ensure that all of our youth and our college folks have their own bank accounts so that they don't have to rely financially on adults. And on that note, the AFR link is open for all of the treasurers that are on tonight and the presidents that are on. It's not actually due until March, but if you are like me and you want to be proactive, the AFR link is open. And if you need help with the AFR, they do have office hours that you can sign up for, and they will walk you through that. But I do believe that Ms. Fallon and I will probably be doing a recording of the AFR so that if you need to go back and watch and figure out how to do that, you'll have access to that as well. Any questions? Okay, next on our agenda is Ms. Fallon, and she'll be sharing with you about youth goals for 2025.
Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody. So I've mentioned it before that last year our theme was grassroots organizing, and a lot of you have heard it a million times. That's exactly what we did. This year our theme is network empowerment. So in every and all things that we do it will be about partnering with other organizations, like-minded organizations, and empowering our network and leveraging those partnerships. In that same mind frame, we have a couple of events coming up. We will be at the MLK event that's happening at Phoenix College. We've been working with NYJA actually to try to get a room there so that the youth can have their meeting there that morning, and then just fall right into the event. Additionally, we have a multitude of events coming up throughout February, Black History Month, and then the events, the different millions of different Juneteenth events that happen in June are our biggest membership months. So we're going to be looking to capitalize on those tabling events that we'll be going to, and then also getting very involved and active, which I've been stalking Sarah about a little bit, so that the youth can do some level of hosting for the African American Legislative Days. Additionally, Dr. Hardin, I recently, as some of you know, I switched over branches to Maricopa with the blessing of President Farmer after finding a new youth advisor there, to seek the tutelage of Dr. Hardin, and then also the likes of the illustrious Dr. Westenberg, so that I can gain the knowledge they have about how they formally manage the youth and how they're currently still very active with youth activities. And because of that, they put me right to work. They had me plan the Black College trip that we're taking at the end of this month. I think that's actually happening next weekend. There's a Black College Expo in California. We are taking the youth over there, and then we're going to go to the Battle of the Bands after. Those are the events that we have coming up right now this quarter. But the biggest thing that's happening right now, which a lot of you are going to hear for the first time, is Project Thrive is in full effect. I've talked about Project Thrive a couple of times. It's tuition help and reimbursements for interactive education or virtual education. And long story short, the hurdles to starting that program was funding. And we have finally figured out a way to fund that program. So we've made it possible to where not only it's going to start off with a pilot of 10 students, 10 high school seniors that are interested in either degrees in cybersecurity, business administration, or education. And these 10 students are going to get to work through the partnership we have with the Greater Phoenix Urban League and shadow a cybersecurity professional or a business professional. And while they're shadow and interning with them, they'll also be able to take their classes with WGU. And that Pell Grant is going to pay for their school, so they won't have any out-of-pocket costs. And just today, David Rodriguez at Earn to Learn responded and is going to cultivate the relationship so that we can get an additional $4,000 scholarship for each of those students. So it is paid for. And all of those students will be able to get their bachelor's degree in 6 months. By the end of the year, we will have 10 of them that get their degree in either cybersecurity, business administration, or education with no out-of-pocket costs, and they will all walk away with at least $6,000. So I'm very excited about that. I can't express enough how much I appreciate Dr. Harden for telling me about the program and helping out with the relationship with the Earn to Learn staff. Also offering they have a fund for scholarships that they offer for financial support to start those savings accounts. Because the Earn to Learn platform is a 8-to-1 match where you have to put so much into the account, which they're going to sponsor for us, and then they match it, the rest of the funds. So that has been a blessing. Additionally, I've been working with the amazing Robert Barlow on the AXO program. It is in full effect. We just with the approval of Madam President Tyree, that we be able to co-chair that event, that we be able to co-chair that program. And that's exactly what we've started to do. We've been reaching out to our partnerships in the community of other organizations that may want to sponsor each of these competitions. We just recently finalized our form, and I talked to Dr. Harding about it today. She's going to be the branch president that co-signs on it. So that we can send that form up to national. And then additionally, we are going to be releasing the fund or the form to the students. I actually put it in our student group already, but we're going to be releasing it to the rest of the Valley students this week. So they will have all of February and March to apply. And then our goal is to make sure that the winners get a $1,000 scholarship, in-hand scholarship, and then also $1,000 for travel to national to compete in the National AXO program. And Robert and I are speaking into existence, and we both have the connections and network to make it happen, and it will. So aside from that, because I can go on, as all of you know, and Sarah will stop me if I get crazy, but aside from that, and what the youth are going on, have going on, I have been working diligently in my new role as the director of the Sustainable Communities Network to figure out how to create a sustainable public-private philanthropic partnership. And what that means is, you know, a lot of times our people that look like us, get left out of high dollar conversations, get left out of, you know, opportunity zones and monetizing energy tax credits and things of that nature. But I've been blessed to be put in a position to where I now get to travel around the country and meet with different mayors. I just came back from Chicago and had, oh man, if any of you can Google this woman of Broadview, Illinois, Mayor Katrina Thompson, the whole county of mayors follow her, and she's absolutely incredible. But she has signed off on being a Sustainable Communities Network mayor, and that municipality will be utilizing our platform, as well as Mayor Mark Hodge of Pembroke, Illinois. They're going to be the first cities and municipalities to launch this program. And in short, here's what that means. We get to pay all of the costs for low to moderate income families to restore their homes and make their homes more energy efficient. That means weatherproofing, and that also means energy efficiency upgrades, new roofs, and solar. They pay no out-of-pocket costs for this because of their income levels. And instead of paying the utility, they just, you know, they pay a regular PPA for their power bill. So it immediately goes down 20 to 30%. But here's what happens for the community, and this is why this is a big deal. Because our company is monetizing those tax credits, we're required through the CRA, through the Community Reinvestment Act, sorry, of course my dog will bark during this time, through the same partnerships that the banks and education, they have to put money back into the community. Are you guys able to hear my dog bark? No? Okay, perfect. I'll talk right over him then. So they're required to put money back into a fund every single year. And that fund is used to true up those accounts. So that means if people are delinquent on their account, they pay their accounts off for them. But whatever money is left there at the end of the year, they give that money back to the community and the organization. I'm just going to say this plain and transparently, there are white companies and organizations doing this right now in very big communities, and their communities are using this to fund different projects, and we're taking advantage of it. So I'm about to bring this to our community, and of course, because I'm the youth advisor, one of the funds that we're creating right now in my company is specific to the youth, and I'm working with Sarah to also bring it at the state level for the adult branch. So those are the things that I have working in my favor right now, and that I'm trying to help and support the youth on. Anybody have any questions?
Alan, you know that people are going to have tons of questions. So would you please drop your
That's fair.
NAACP email into the
Yeah.
chat box so that people can reach out to you if they have questions?
Okay.
And listen, Fallon is a goddess. I don't know how she makes things happen, but she makes things happen. And most importantly, our youth are being taken care of in ways that they have not been taken care of previously. And so we thank her so much. Her and Brother Barlow are, if I could go gray, I would have gray. I would have gray hair already from the two of them. But I appreciate them both so much because they're working hard for our kiddos and our college folks. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move into adult goals for 2025 so that we can get to our guest speaker. First and foremost, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I feel very specifically that we failed our community in the sense of we were not proactive when it came to the election. Yes, and you can get information from all over the place, but I truly feel that marketing is always geared towards our white counterparts, and it's not geared towards us in a language that we can digest and understand and receive and then put into action. And so the state conference is intentionally putting together civic engagement programs, civic engagement moments, newsletters, so on and so forth, so that you have information at your fingertips in languages that you can understand, with words that you can understand. I do believe that our website has been updated and we have I want to say 5 different languages that you can access the website in. And so we're really trying to make a concerted effort to make sure that our members and our community have the information that they need to be able to not just survive, but to thrive in the environment that this new administration is going to create for all of us. And so you will continue to see more newsletters and more communication from the state conference. In addition to that, you will also, if you have not already, seen our Black Leader Spotlights. And those are videos from individuals throughout the community, whether they are elected or they are folks who are just in positions of power. You'll see one each week from somebody in our community who's doing the work. And we want to continue to make sure that we are highlighting our Black leaders because we need to know that we do have power, right? We do have power here in Arizona, and if we could come together as a community, we could harness far more power than we have now. So we want to make sure that we're highlighting those folks, giving them the support that they need, and also bringing up new leaders. And with that, I do want to talk about one very specific person that we have already highlighted, and really just an overall general feeling about where the NAACP will be moving going forward. I feel, and maybe many of you also feel, that when it comes to the progress of our community, oftentimes we are the ones who get in our own way, right? Maybe we don't like somebody, or somebody did this, or we heard this, or we heard that. And instead of having conversations with that direct person, we continue to do the misinformation and we share in the gossip tree. And so my ask of all of you is that we stop doing that. It's okay to not like somebody. It's okay to have feelings, and we can still be amicable, and we can still be respectful, and we can still get the work done, right? That's really what matters, is that we get the work done. And so there were some comments about us sharing a video for Representative Walt Blackman. And some of you are new and don't understand the history that comes with him. And some of you have been around the block, and so you know what history comes with that person. And I want you to know that we know who he was before. We understand how crude he was. We understand that, there were moments where he felt ashamed to be one of us. And he said some outright unacceptable things. We know that, and so does he. And today, he is a very different person. He owns up to the mistakes that he's made. He owns up to the things that he has said and the harm that he has done to multiple communities. And since then, he has been nothing but kind and supportive, not just to myself and Vice President Miller, but also to our youth. He has been able to create spaces for them to learn and to succeed, and he works with us on the policies that we need for our community. And so Vice President Miller and I really believe in giving people second chances, especially when they show up and they ask for it. And that's what Representative Blackman has done. He's asked for that second chance, and we're going to give that to him, right? It's not to say we're not going to keep an eye and we're not going to hold him accountable when we have questions. But in this moment, he has done all the right things, and he is doing all the right things. And so for as long as I am the president, for as long as Andre is the vice president, we have two things that we want to continue to make happen, is that we are barriers of protection for our people. We want to make sure that we are barriers of protection for our people, and we want to get the work done. I'm tired of seeing us impede each other for whatever the reason is. And I hope that in my time as your president, that we're able to change some of those things and become more of a community. So I just wanted to share that with all of you, because I know that that conversation has come up in a number of spaces about that particular person. And so I wanted you to hear directly from me where the state conference is. And how we're going to continue to move. And of course, if you ever have any questions or you want a better understanding, my door is always open. Vice President's door is always open. Please come and share with us whatever thoughts, feelings, or concerns that you have. Legislation. So we do have a number of items that we are going to be pushing forward this year, and I know that some of our branches do as well. One of the things that the state is pushing for is so when women go for their annual exams and men go for their prostate exams, those services are considered preventative, and so they're copay free. And so what we are asking the legislature to do is to make therapy for your mental health therapy to be copay free as well. Understanding that we're not going to capture everybody in the first go round, but we are currently working with a number of insurance companies to kind of work out the kinks of what that would look like. And there is also a state, New Mexico was able to successfully pass this bill a couple of years ago. So we're hoping that we can work with the two senators that were able to pass that and learning from their mistakes, what barriers they had, so on and so forth. Because if we can start with a small population of people being able to access therapy for free, and eventually we can grow that into everybody. And so that's the goal. I believe that Vice President Miller is working on some things that pertain to law enforcement and mental health. Andre, do you want to share about that a little bit, or?
Sure. So I already have the draft legislation, and it's already been given to Representative Blackman, and we've also shared it with the International Association of Chiefs of Police. So it's been sent out to about 100 chiefs of police throughout the country. And so basically, the title of the bill is Behavioral Health and Moral Fitness for Duty Act. And what it does is it is going to require police officers to get a mental health exam every year, and then also every 5 years for them to take a polygraph test to make sure that they're not falling in the cracks for various things that could be illegal or them harming the communities. And so the crazy thing about this particular bill is that we have Republicans and Democrats that are on board for it. So that's something that we're absolutely pushing right now. The other one that we're trying to push is to make sure that, we're trying to get the legislation crafted on both sides, is we want to get service-connected veterans who are 100% service-connected and disabled. We want to get them property tax relief. And so we've had conversations already with the county assessor. He is on board with it. He wants a little bit more than what we want to give, but those are the two things that we're working on. And this one, as far as the Behavioral Health and Moral Fitness for Duty Act, it's being crafted. It doesn't have a bill number yet. Tricia just asked me for the bill number. It doesn't have a bill number, but there has been a folder open for it. So the legislation is being crafted. So those are the two that I'm working on behind the scenes with President Tyree.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. And I know it is a conversation that has yet to be had, and feathers will be ruffled, right? Because we're asking for things that they have not done historically, but ultimately it's for the betterment of them and for the communities that they serve as well. So hopefully we were able to be successful in that bill, specifically all of them, but I think that one would be really a game changer for our communities. Moving into the last piece before I introduce our guest speaker tonight is, oh, I guess it is that. So part of the intention that we'll be focusing on is really trying to be inside of our communities this year, not just, with us meeting here like this on all calls, but really to be in the communities, canvassing, knocking on doors, talking to folks, making sure that they know that the NAACP is here, and also creating opportunities for them to be civically engaged in ways that they never knew probably that were available to them. And so one of our, I guess, goals or action items will be to partner with some of our formerly incarcerated communities, working with Khalil and his organization and some others, really getting into those specific communities, because if you think about it, a lot of times, right, we know that our formerly incarcerated often lose their rights, but they have partners who can vote, right? And so we want to make sure that those folks know that while your partner doesn't have a voice, you do, and you can utilize that voice to push for policies and legislation that will impact your loved ones. And so we really want to teach them, what does it look like to attend a city council meeting? What does it look like to attend a legislative committee hearing? So on and so forth. And so we'll be working with them alongside our youth to make sure that we're really in the spaces that we need to be in the communities who have the least amount of access and resources. And with that, I would love to, Mr. Vice President.
I just want to make note that Dr. Meeks put in the chat that the Tucson branch, with the support of the state conference, is putting forward a cash bail reform legislation again this year, and they have received their bill number. So the folder's been open, they received the bill number, and it's HR 2490. Thank you, Dr. Meeks.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, I know that you have a call tomorrow, so let's I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Khalil Rushton, I would like to introduce to all of you Mr. Khalil Rushton, and he has a number of accolades behind him, so many that I cannot name, so I'm going to allow him to introduce himself to you and get right into his topics of conversation tonight.
Right. Thank you, Madam President and Mr. Vice President. How y'all doing? Good to see you again. So my name is Khalil Rushton. Can everybody hear me all right? Okay. So my name is Khalil Rushton. I come to you tonight as someone who is a community advocate, organizer, mentor, but also someone directly impacted by incarceration. I served 15 and a half years of a life sentence prior to my case being overturned due to prosecutorial misconduct and vindictiveness. I was released from prison December 20th, 2011, 2 days before my birthday. And, based on my experience, going through the process, the trial, and a number of different things, living inside. Once I was released, I decided to get back on the front line and really help to bring change to this state. For most folks who've been in other states, those states have compensation laws. So most of I'm part of the larger Innocence Network, and some of my brothers and sisters in other states have been compensated for their wrongful convictions. So here in Arizona, no compensation. That comes up a lot. But I decided to get back on the front line and really look to change the system, because I really didn't want anybody else to go through what I went through. So what that looked like was me learning to heal from the inhumane treatments and conditions of confinement here in the state of Arizona. Um, and over the years, I worked for a number of organizations who were engaged in some version of what they define as criminal justice reform, but we always ended up a day late or a dollar short when it came to getting to the root causes of a lot of this, and trying to implement some real solutions. So um, over the years, over the last 7 years, I decided to move away from a number of these organizations, and I see a lot of familiar faces on the call. I moved away, and instead of me building out programs and organizations that was not going to go and address issues at the core, I decided to say, hey, you know what? Let me go ahead and create a nonprofit, and I can just do these things, um, and get to the core, get to the root causes. So it's been a wonderful few years, and I've been running around like Tony Stark's without all the money. Um, fighting these issues, educating folks, bringing people together, building relationships. And most of that work came through policy, advocacy, and community-based education. So the nonprofit I created was the AZ Village Network. And I didn't want to use the term coalition or anything of that in my title, mainly because, coalitions a lot of times get people think about military or other types of coalitions, but village was the proper term. And the village became a beacon of hope for individuals who were being released from prison, because initially um, we were engaging individuals who were released, and their parole officers would violate them, or what they termed as technical violations. And folks would go back just for not having a good rapport with their um, parole officer. And so some of the guys who were in our circle, we reached out to the parole officer and just asked to, let us work with them. This is not a bad individual, didn't commit any new offenses. They just didn't have a really good line of communication between each other. So we work with these individuals, got them stabilized, got them moving forward. And we got so good at it, we started being asked to work with more individuals and more individuals. And so it got to the attention of the assistant director of community corrections. And we actually invited him out to the community because I guess for whatever reason, there was a lot of parole officers were having a lot of issues, working with folks who had been down, especially those who had significant amounts of time. And so that was kind of the start. And we were just a program. We never thought about becoming a nonprofit or anything of the such. We were really just showing up for folks who were getting out. And then, April of last year, I decided to incorporate as that nonprofit. So we are directly impacted led. We also have family members who engage us, and then some of our partners. Now, the AZ Village Network is meant to be a platform, and we have about 20 different organizations connected to us that are looking to help us address some of those key areas when it comes to reentry, housing, employment, health and mental health, and then also education, getting folks into vocational education and things like that. We also have a legal advocacy department, which is led by our legal advocacy director, Rochelle Hicks. She also served 9 years in Perryville, became a paralegal. And so she's been a real asset and resource to helping folks not just get their rights restored, but just navigate the system of obtaining their paperwork and stuff. So some of those things, services we provide in our legal advocacy clinic is helping folks apply for their fingerprint clearance cards, because a number of folks who are justice involved are becoming peer support specialists, but companies won't hire them on if they don't have their fingerprint clearance cards. The restoration of rights, which we advocated years ago to help eliminate the additional 2-year wait for individuals once they were off paper. It used to be you had to wait an additional 2 years to apply to get your rights restored. So we really educate folks. We're proactive in helping them get their rights restored. We don't do the sealing of records, but we have attorneys that help us. So sealing of records, marijuana expungement, set-asides, things like that. We really engage in the education piece and then get them over to our attorneys, so they can go through an assessment. Lastly, we're in Arizona. Everything is spread out. And so part of our workforce initiative, we want to make sure folks have driver's license. And so we're really getting information to folks about payment programs, things like that. And you'd be surprised how many people don't even know you don't have to pay all your fines anymore. You can enter into a payment program. And then we partnered with another one of our community organizations, All DUI Services, that actually will help folks who have DUI related offenses, barriers to getting their licenses. So those are some of the services we provide. We engage the community with our monthly community breakfast meetings. And this was an opportunity for, say, that person getting out, they're in a halfway house. They may be living out of that convenience store right down the street. These breakfast meetings was providing an opportunity for someone to get that hot meal coming out, but also learn about issues that will impact them. So some of our bigger events, we just had a conference, which we called Hope Beyond the Walls. And that conference was looking at those social determinants of health related to those who have been justice involved and their family members. So we just had that in October. A number of our community partners came out. We had Maricopa County Public Defender's Office, ASU, so on and so on. And then we also do a back to school event, which I'm talking to Madam President about partnering up, instead of us just doing a back to school event, but making it a larger event with a number of different organizations who engage youth. We usually do that at the beginning of July, but we can move that around. And then we also do a food and toy drive around December. So folks getting out who might not have the resources. Some folks may want to get gifts and things to their families. If their families are struggling, our ask to them is hit us up. We don't want people taking chances. Go home, be with your family, and then we try to get food and toys to them. So I want to pause right there. I don't know how much time I got, but I just wanted to pause right there because I wish I can make it up trying to cram, the last 30 years of my life into a few minutes. But let me pause if folks have questions or want me to touch on specific issues.
Hey, Khalil, this is VP Miller. I got a question for you real quick. So, Sister Edmund or Natasha just asked a question of me, and I know there have been some conversations about this with the restoration of rights. What are you doing with that part? Making sure people are getting the ability to vote again, which is one of the biggest rights they take away. So can you kind of touch on that for us?
Absolutely. So the key thing is getting the right information to folks. There's been a number of individuals um putting people through the process, restoring rights, so on and so on. And at that time, I mean, I'm not even gonna say at that time, it is a class 6 felony if someone votes or even register to vote, um, and they're not eligible. So what we do is we provide that information to individuals. One, two, um, I've gone through a number of restoration clinics. The ACLU used to be good at holding these clinics, and what they would do is, they would hold a clinic, individuals would come, but they don't know what paperwork to bring or so on and so on. So they would just get a list of names and never follow back up with these individuals. So what we do is we're going to engage these individuals. We're going to help them get the paperwork, help them navigate the systems to get the paperwork. Also make sure they don't have any fines and fees out there. Some people are trying to get their rights restored, and then they find out they have X fines that haven't been addressed. Um, so we really just walk them through the process, and we mentor them. So even if they're not eligible, since there is no additional 2-year wait, we get folks ready. So when they hit that last day of supervision, we file. Or what I like to say, it kicks in like direct deposit. Um, and so those are just some of the things. The biggest thing or the biggest barrier for individual is navigating these systems. Trying to obtain paperwork, and then understanding if you have multiple offenses, each one needs to be addressed. So those are some of the things that we do, but the biggest part, like I said, is the education. And we've trained a number of organizations. We don't do this for the money. We do this really to help folks out, and we don't charge. So there is no charge. Anytime I get somebody to donate, or we may get a small grant, all of that goes into you know, the support for the individuals, and then helping them get that paperwork.
Also, Khalil, can you do me a favor and drop your information for your organization? If you got a website and your phone number, email, all that stuff in the chat, in case some people want to reach out to you and get some further questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you for answering my question. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Now, I don't have a website yet. However, I will give my cell number. Don't abuse it, please. I don't. You'll listen to my voicemail and you'll find it funny. But I'm not
Well,
sitting in my house and no, I'm just playing. But no, I'm gonna put my cell phone number. That's so you can get in contact with me in real time. I'm not afraid of the community I love and serve. So, please, hit me up, and then also I'll provide my email address in the chat.
Can you multitask?
Yep.
Okay. If you, well, does your organization, does the village take like clothing or shoe donations?
Yeah, we do, but um we're not that primary agency. However, when folks donate to us, no matter what it is, I'm going to make sure we get it to the organizations that are serving the population. And um our food and toy drive, for example, we had a lot of food left over. That food went to Justin. We actually had toys left over, and Sister Deidre over at Family Involvement Center, we took them bags of toys, and then the food went to Justice Center, who works with homeless seniors. So when you donate something to us, if you're looking for a receipt, we are not tax exempt. We have a fiscal sponsor. I can look to get you a receipt, but the organizations that we donate to, I also encourage folks to hey, connect directly to them. So we don't own the folks who come to us. We're just a platform. And instead of, in the past, we've gotten folks who were disruptive saying, y'all don't do enough. Okay, cool. Let me get you to where you want to be. Okay, so sometimes I'm playing referee or traffic, conductor. So I really want you in the space you want to be. As long as you're moving things forward, it'll all come together later.
Thank you for that. I have two, maybe three more questions for you. Um, the first being, does the village have any happenings around the legislative session? Like, are you guys pushing for policy this year? What does it look like for you, and how can we support you in that?
Absolutely. As everyone knows, thousands of bills get um introduced, and I don't want to invalidate, what is important to certain folks, but the population I represent, and then the community I love so much, I have to prioritize what's introduced. So right now we partnered up with we've been partnered up with the Association of Food Banks, because most folks don't know several bills have been introduced um, at the state and federal level that's going to impact SNAP, TANF, things like that. So um, three bills we're tracking five bills that were introduced um, to cut or put more restrictions around SNAP benefits. We also are we were going to introduce a bill, and we're actually going to hold it um, to eliminate the felony drug ban that's still in place from the war on drugs. And we're talking about some folks who have felony, or excuse me, these drug charges from the 90s are still denied food stamps. And so that's some of the policies we're watching. The other thing is housing. I totally understand when it comes to homelessness and affordable housing, but a number of the folks we're working with, we're getting them out of prison, or they're coming out of prison. We're getting them into the workforce. They're being very productive, and then 3, 5, 7 years later, they're still being denied housing because they have these felony backgrounds. So we're looking around. We're looking at um, some policy changes, both at the legislator and then also some enforcement with the AG's office. And I've said this a number of times. It seems sometimes we have more consumer rights than civil rights, and the AG's office can statutorily enforce those consumer rights. So we really want to see some changes in policy, especially with those individuals that's doing exactly what they've been asked of, not to commit any more offenses, be productive citizens, pay their taxes. So yeah.
Next question from the community is the village connected to any behavioral health therapists that may want to assist?
Yes. So I currently chair Mountain Park Health Clinics, and it's been a phenomenal ride. I'm rolling off their board. However, I will be going back on their board at the first opportunity. But they just started providing some behavioral health service. There's also Family Tree Healthcare. They provide some behavioral health. I am super part-time with Sage Counseling, who has the contract to provide uh, programming for the transitional releases. I'm also connected to Deep Integrative Care they do deep trauma therapy for veterans. Um, there is Path to Progress. Offhand, I'll probably be here, but yes, I'm well connected to a number of behavioral health organizations, and my ask with them, if they're going to come on the village platform, is to work together. I tell them, don't look at each other as competition, but complement each other, because it's well over enough individuals getting out of prison each year, and this just the state prisons, folks, to where folks should be able to provide effective services and so on and so on. Um, and then I always say, if one person goes back to prison or jail or anything of that, then we all suck. We haven't done our part, so we stand unified, and so those are just some of the organizations that I'm working with. I do some consulting with, and if anyone is on here is interested in coming to a village meeting or getting involved, just please let me know.
Does it look like, did somebody have a question?
No, I was just gonna say, yes, I'm absolutely interested in coming to meetings. I actually have a meeting with you next week, so I'm looking forward to it, so we can get together.
Absolutely.
Doing the work. The NAACP, myself, Vice President Miller, are a part of a reentry collaboration with Khalil, Representative Blackman, and some other folks. And in this particular moment, we are focused on a bill that passed in 2019 called the Prisoners Transition Program. It's House Bill 2266. And essentially what that says is that if you get incarcerated for any reason at all, and you do not read above the 8th grade reading level, you will not be released, even with your time served. And that bill was passed into law by former Governor Ducey. And so we are currently working to see either A, can we amend some of the language in that, or B, can we repeal it? Because if we're being honest, you criminalized reading comprehension for communities who already lack the same access of quality to education, IEPs, tutors, all of these things. And so hopefully we're able to do some of that work this year. If it's not this year, we know where we sit and can make sure that we make those changes within the coming legislature. And also, Khalil, can you share with folks, if they want to donate, understanding that you are not a 501c3, if they want to donate to you, can they donate their time? Can they donate their money? Like what can they do today to support you? Like what are the action items that you have for us, the community?
Well, I tell people when it comes to donation or their investment, the biggest thing is time. I don't care where you're at in the state. I will come to you, and it's really to sit down and educate and build relationships. Some of the things we've seen, for us to have the smallest population, we seem to be fragmented. And I've seen a number of different folks who just won't come together. And Madam Chair, you spoke on that. Um, and that's what I would ask. Just I know most people say, "Hey, I would like to write a check to you," and cool. But the reality of that is, I would like you to understand why you're writing that check. And you know help engage these issues, because we got rovers on Mars. We can see and peer into other galaxies, but we seem to cannot change any of these barriers at the core, these policies at the core. And so I do want to run through some quick numbers, folks. We seem to fluctuate between the 5th highest and 7th highest incarcerator in the country per capita. We have 15 state prisons. Some of those are private, but they house state individuals. And our prison population is about 35,000 now. You have roughly 15,000 people being released every year. And with that number, you would think our prison population would drop, but no, you have about 15,000 literally going back in. And the scary part, when I look at the data, literally sometimes it's about 100-person different, 50-person difference. And so that's a revolving door. And so my biggest concern now is they've already asked for funding. I think the funding was approved to build a new juvenile facility. We spend our prison budget is about 1.5, 1.6 billion a year. And when you look at education and what's going on, like, come on, we can do better. So the overall investment is in prison. And so a lot of people focus on private, because they say private for-profit prisons, but they don't look at the private for-profit services in a state prison. Okay. So once again, invite me out, however I can help. But I'm always going to be supportive to our Madam President, because at a time where a lot of people wasn't showing up, um, this is probably one of the few who showed up. I see Larnell, I see Constance on here, I see Dr. Hard and a number of other people. If I didn't name you, but I appreciate that. And in closing, it is important because in 1996, when I was extradited back out here, and I said, man, these people are railroading me. I didn't know any other person to write but the NAACP. I was in Pima County Jail, and I sent a letter to the NAACP, and in 2025, still haven't heard back. So I'm not saying that that's a call in. That's the importance of some of these individuals who may be sitting in these systems that need somebody to show up for them, that's being railroaded. So, I'm always going to be a resource to this organization. And thank you, Madam President and Mr. Vice Chair, for inviting me and engaging me in the community.
Thank you, Brother Khalil. And I want you to know that people are going off in the chat in ways that they can support you. So please know that, folks, our members are ready to do the work, and they want to be able to help you in the work that you're doing. So please make sure you follow up with those folks.
I will. And I dropped my info in the chat. Please give me a week. As you know, a lot of things have happened since January 20th, but the reality of our situations happened January 13th, and it's not all bad. It's just a lot of movement, folks. It doesn't matter who's in the White House, it doesn't matter who's in our governor's office. We need to come up with the game plan to support each other in the community. We still got work to do. So I will follow up with you, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Brother Khalil. For those that don't know, January 13th was our legislative opening day. And we do have African American legislative days coming up. You should be getting a newsletter from us shortly that has registration links for all of the events that they'll have going on, and we do hope that you attend those. Our next month guest speaker, in our concerted effort to be proactive and intentional and giving you the information that you need, will be Supreme Court Justice Bill Montgomery. This is not a political conversation that we are having. We are simply here, having him here to share with all of us what role does a Supreme Court Justice actually have, what powers do they have, what they don't have, and what does it look like. And each month moving forward, we will have a different guest speaker with a different topic for all of you. Community news. I'm going to give you guys a few quick things, and then I'll turn it over to all of you if you have anything to share with us. Legal redress training was completed yesterday, so there is a new training guide. If you click in the agenda, if you click the 2025 legal redress training, it'll take you to the Zoom call that they had last night, and you can see in the agenda there's a password that's required. That password is also listed in the agenda. This is particularly important for my branch presidents, your legal redress chairs, or anybody who has interest in that, so we understand collectively what our legal redress teams can and cannot do. And so there's that. The state conference will be hosting their Freedom Fund, our Freedom Fund, on Thursday, October 16th. Our ask is that our branches participate in a state conference Freedom Fund with us. And I think Ms. Fallon and Vice President Miller have a little bit more of a handle on that. So if you have questions or you want to figure out what ways you can participate, please follow up with one of them. State conference elections will be happening this year. So if you have interest in being the president, the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer of the state conference, please know that towards the middle of the year, your nomination forms will need to be sent into national so that you can run for one of those seats, and that the election will be held in December. Vice President Miller and myself plan to run again, so please know that. And also, if you want to run against us, we welcome that as well. We believe in democracy and everybody should have an opportunity to run for whatever seat they want to run for. We also have been doing Black Leader Summits. We had our first in October of last year, and we had elected officials from both sides of the fence. We had formerly elected officials and just other people from the community. And we're going to continue to have those each quarter around the state so that the various parts of Maricopa are getting the love that they need. Tucson, Yuma, and Sierra Vista are getting the love that they need. So please be on the lookout for those things. We would love for you to attend. It's a time for us to come together, break down some of those gatekeeping barriers, and just have real conversations with one another about how we can move forward as a community. And with that, I would love to turn it over to all of you. If anybody has community news that they would like to share with our members before we adjourn tonight, we'd love to welcome you.
Madam President, President Jevin.
Thank you. Mr. President, President Hodge, would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Oh, how's everybody doing today? I hope that you all have been well. Can everybody see me okay? Well, actually, you can't. I'm sitting in my car. I apologize for the delay. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the members from my branch that are here. Our treasurer, Angela Copeland, and our secretary, Miss Michelle Rose, are joining us here from the branch of the East Valley, and we're deeply grateful for them. It is an honor to be here to serve with each of you. I'm really looking forward to what we are building and where we are going here as the NAACP. The one thing that I've been saying constantly over and over and over again is that right now, more than ever, we need leaders that are going to be on the front lines, that are going to be logical, that are going to be spiritual, that are going to be loving, that are going to be caring, that are going to move the torch forward. We're not here to throw bombs. We're here to protect and defend the civil rights of all Arizonans, no matter who you are, where you come from, where you were born, or what zip code you live in, how you identify. We are here to do what it needs to be done with the leaders we have in place. We will hold each and every one of them accountable, but we're going to do everything that we can to work with the people that we have to build bridges and continue to move forward. So I'm really excited. 2025 is going to be a good year for us. It will be incredibly difficult with the legislature that we have and with the presidential administration that we have, among others. But we are going to do everything humanly possible to work with our leaders to build those bridges to continue to move our communities forward. The one thing that I want to highlight is that our branch, we had the MLK March in Mesa, and it was truly incredible. We had about 50, 60 people come out and join us. Vice President Andre Miller came on and joined us. We had several elected officials, community members. We got a bunch of new memberships at the MLK branch, MLK March in Mesa. And so we're deeply excited for what this year is going to bring to us. So thank you, Vice President Miller. Thank you, President Tyree, for giving me the opportunity to speak. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Congratulations on your election to the East Valley. Also, what a beautiful turnout. I saw the pictures of your gathering this weekend, and it was amazing to see. Really excited for all the work that you plan to do in the East Valley. And I want to say that I think you have me beat, because originally I was the youngest president in Arizona, and now that is you. So congratulations for taking that title from me. I love that we have young people who are up and coming and ready to be leaders. So I look forward to working with you.
All right, young lady. So we will continue to do this together.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Ms. Fallon, you have something to share.
speaking of young presidents, Xavier Span is on, President Xavier Span, and I didn't want the night to go on without announcing him. Speaking of passing the torch and being young and in this space, he is that. I have been so blessed to have worked with him over the last 2 years. He's going out with us this weekend to the Black College Expo. He does a lot for his branch. I want to announce him as best as I can. He does a lot for his branch. He's absolutely a leader to the group, but then also in the adult community. He gets out there at every event and shows everybody how it's done. Very proud of him, what he's doing now, and what he's going to do in the future. And I just didn't want the night to go on without him being acknowledged here on this call. Xavier, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello. Thank you. I appreciate it.
The president, go ahead and introduce yourself to our members.
Oh, okay. Hello. Hi, I'm Xavier Span. I'm the president of the Youth West Valley NAACP branch, and we've been working really hard to try to get our membership up, and definitely including all the other schools in the BSU program. So that's something we've been working on.
Mr. President, can you let everyone know how old you are?
I'm 18. Just turned
Love
18, November 25th.
Happy belated.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I want to note too that Representative Blackman has specifically asked our young president here to come to the floor and give testimony to something that's very important to him. So we're looking forward to the day that he decides to do that, and we'll make sure that all of our members know so that they can attend and support you.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share with the community? I do see that Mr. Tasha put in, they have a save the date for World Class Business Expo with the West Valley NAACP on February 18th from 8:45 to 12 at the Avondale Visitor Center. That will also go in our agenda so that folks can follow up in our minutes, excuse me. Anybody else have anything that they like to share? Dr. Meeks, Madam President.
Hi, hello. I just want to acknowledge the work of our education committee. I know folks will have all kinds of things going on during Black History Month, but we are especially excited for a partnership that we have with the Tucson Unified School District, specifically with the African American Student Services, where we will be doing a viewing of the film The Right to Read. And I believe there will be a panel with this discussion about literacy and understanding the abysmal rates of literacy for little Black and brown boys and girls. And of course, we know the long-term effects of illiteracy and how that impacts families, it impacts communities and all kinds of spaces. So we're really excited about that. It will be in person. Otherwise, I would say, hey, we can give you a Zoom link, but we welcome folks to come down. We're really excited about this partnership. I think I saw at some point the education chair on, but she will probably not be happy if I ask her to give the details. But that will be taking place on February 25th. And then we also, the education committee is hosting a conversation with a traumatologist here in Tucson, Dr. Damon T. Holt, Pastor and Dr. Damon T. Holt, who will be spending some time speaking with our community about trauma and how we can, heal and different things like that. So we're really excited that we can have some of these very important discussions throughout the month of February. Thanks.
And Dr. Meeks, before you go, can you share with everyone what it looked like for your youth to have a mental health day and be able to have conversations just at their level? What was that like?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to do that. So under the leadership of Lorna Ingram, who's our youth advisor, she invited in a therapist to have a conversation at our youth council meeting. I'm sure we all, recognize this in our family members or with youth that we're working with. So many things, that young people, we're all dealing with, but young people aren't always equipped to deal with some of those things. And it can be difficult to talk to parents who may just, want to fix it or don't quite understand those challenges. And we were noticing that. And so it was also around the holidays, and just knowing some of the experiences of the young people that are part of our youth council, whether it's things that they've shared about bullying or being singled out at school or some of their family issues, we knew that there needed to be a discussion. And so a therapist came in December to have a discussion. I wish I could tell you the details, but it was it was important that the adults leave the room so that they could be free, because some of us, like my daughter is a member and obviously didn't want to, be up in the space because then our young people, they don't speak as freely when, the advisor or parent or grandparent is in the room. So while I can't give specific details, what I know is that the energy following that meeting was, it was incredible. It was incredible. So whatever they talked about, the resources and strategies that the therapist shared with these young people, they felt good about it. And was just really exciting, for them to be feeling that way, because, sometimes they're there because, someone made them attend, and they learn along the way. But it really is important that we listen to young people, and we may have an agenda and we want to talk about civic engagement and we want them to get into their schools and do this and do that, which is clearly a part of our mission. But if they are not well, if they are concerned about all the things that they can be concerned about and no one is listening, then they can't do the work. And so it was just really, really powerful. So we're excited to do that. I can share the name of the therapist. I don't know if she travels or not, but I'm sure she would. So thank you for asking.
Thank you, Madam President. If you want to just drop her information in the chat box, that would be wonderful. And I really appreciate you leading the way and making sure that our youth are taking care of their mental well-being as well. That's such a critical time for our young people when they're shaping their identities and going through all the things that adolescents go through. And so ensuring that they had a safe space to just be is beautiful. And I really appreciate you for doing that. On the last note from the state conference, I do want y'all to know that we have been talking about revolutionizing the Arizona NAACP for quite some time. And what that really looks like is being an NAACP that Arizona has not seen yet. And so with that, we have a new tagline, and our tagline is revolutionizing advocacy, strengthening Arizona. And so I hope that all of you will join me in creating a better Arizona where we can all thrive, we can all succeed, and that we're safe from whatever harm people intend to do to us. And with that, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Madam President, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. May I get a second?
I second.
Thank you, Miss Nadia. I hope all of you had a great night tonight. I hope that you leave here, that you learned something, and I hope that you return with us in February for our discussion with Supreme Court Justice Bill Montgomery. Thank you, everybody, and have a beautiful night.